Yes, democracy is in danger when a powerful ruling party encourages people to not contest against it in safe seats such as Surat and Indore, where we saw opposition candidates withdraw against the BJP. These are all seats that the BJP would have won again on their own anyway. So there is a dangerous trend. There is a story that this happened in the seat of the Home Minister, that everybody withdrew for different reasons. I won't elaborate on it. So yes, we do worry about that being in danger. We must also worry about technical aspects of the election, which is voter rolls. I have in the past, since 2019 and in 2022, flagged the issue of deletion of Muslim names from electoral rolls. I have raised it with some of the opposition parties, but I don't find them very organized on this front. Whereas the BJP machinery is always organized. And I speak of the state of Uttar Pradesh, where I noted this happening earlier. And in this election also, we've seen it happen again. However, so yes, there are dangers like this, because what is an election? It is a meaningless thing if such section of people are not allowed to vote. And when they go to the polling booth, they are beaten, they are intimidated. We have seen video evidence of this coming out of some seats. So yes, democracy is in danger. But at the same time, we have had times in history when democracy has also been in danger in the past. And it has survived in India. So in the end, I don't think I think we, the people of India, will keep it alive. It is not just about the BJP. We have seen that in one time there was an emergency imposed in India. We have also seen the evidence of ballot stuffing by goons and gundas. We have seen the intimidation of the lower, of people like Dalits and Adivasis over the years by dominant social groups, not allowing them to vote. So it has all happened in the past, and it happens today with different permutations and combinations. Today it is targeting the Muslim community on specific seats, very carefully managed. Because we are speaking about a party and an electoral force such as the BJP, which is backed by the RSS, which is the largest cadre organization in the world, which maps every constituency in every neighborhood. I have written about it in the updated version of my book, which is The Saffron Storm, which is the updated version of my book on the BJP. I have written in the introduction about the cadre of the Parivar. And I have mentioned how in 2019 I ran into somebody, a gentleman in the city of Moradabad in Uttar Pradesh, who told me that I was making an error about other seats such as Muzaffarnagar and in the first phase voting, because he had a better idea of booth by booth management. And he gave me figures about how much BJP would win those seats by. And he said, I will call you, he said in Hindi, I will call you on the result day, madam, and you will see that I was right. And he called me, and he was right, and he is today the state unit president of the BJP, Birendra Singh, Chaudhry Birendra Singh. And he gave me a breakdown of other areas. So we're talking about an organization which is mapping neighborhoods. He knew that in Amroha town, the minorities would vote so much, and in some other town, So let's say, even let us imagine that the result is over. Then you get the data, who has voted where. You get an idea of which villages of which caste voted in what way. And then you tally it with the result. So you get a pretty good, accurate idea of who's voting for you and who's not voting for you. So if you don't work like that, it's going to be very hard to dislodge the BJP once it gets entrenched in the system. So the Samajwadi Party, they're all good. I mean, nobody's saying, but they don't work like this. They don't work on these systems. They work on creating a wave. I don't know if parties, I think the DMK and all do work like that. They have a fairly good idea of areas and neighborhoods and all. But in the north now, the BJP dominates that area because we have seen a structural problem with the Congress. The Congress also depends on emotion. They depend on public sentiment shifting towards them. Yes, I have written about it again in the same book. Yes, so in Assam, they have shifted the boundaries of the constituency so that the Muslim numbers do not become the deciding factor in some seats. So it's not just the RSS and the BJP which does it, it's the bureaucracy which plays along with it. You know, it is this so undermining the potential to determine an outcome. So broadly, the idea is one of the propaganda points of the BJP and RSS is that Muslims must not have the right to determine anything. So they want to reduce their influence in voting, and it's also about they believe that Muslims will vote against them. So they want to just cut it out in constituencies where Muslims are large in numbers. Profiling against Muslims is needed to get over it's an ideological belief of the RSS and the BJP, number one, but you also have to, it's in order to get over the caste differences, unite against someone. That's fairly evident. Us versus them. Who's the them? You need an enemy. You need to invent one if you don't have one. So the Muslim is the enemy. That is fairly self-evident. But the other thing about we are the victims is in order to never feel, is to validate all the hate crimes, the hate speeches, all of this against a particular community. So, we've seen over the few years, certain things have happened. It is to say, no, but they are going to take everything. That is what has been said in this election. No, but we have to speak against Muslims because they're going to get all the reservation. Not only that, the cows also, buffaloes might be taken away and given to Muslims. And the Congress might take away Mangal Sutras also. Who they will give them to is not being said. But there is a threat to Mangal Sutras. And there is a threat to buffaloes going to Muslims. Isn't that what they have said? Cricket team was also. I don't even want to say it. No point saying it because I don't want to inject this poison into sports, It might be there. I have no UP. There have been times when UP has been very volatile. But it was not an issue in the minds even of the BJP voters. Till the stage, it was the state versus Muslim and not allowing them to vote. I'm not saying they love Muslims, but they were not voting on hating Muslims. They were voting in many places. I'm talking about up to the thirds, about their local choices. Whether they like Modi, they don't like Modi, whether Yogi, law and order. It was not about Muslims altogether. That is my feeling. Hindu-Muslim was not a big thing on the ground. It was, in 2014, it was huge because the Muzaffarnagar riots had taken place in 2013, September. And it was, at the back of it was all this talk about love jihad, Romeo squad. All of this was happening in the 2014 election. I'm again talking to you about UP. That was a charged up communalized election. 2019, there was this hyper-nationalism. There was also an undercurrent of communal sentiment. In this one, I have not seen evidence of that in Uttar Pradesh. They will definitely go to the India alliance. And in this case, because there is some disillusionment, I speak of Uttar Pradesh again with the SP, the fact that the Congress is there, even though will help the SP alliance also. But the SP again has the structures on the ground which the Congress does not have. I don't think they'll go there much. So about the BSP, if you examine the history of the BSP has been in a decline. In the 2022 Assembly election in Uttar Pradesh, the SP front was defeated by the BJP by a 10% vote lead. The Dalit population in Uttar Pradesh is about 21%. Half of them are Jatavs, who were the more loyal voters of Mayawati. But Mayawati's vote share fell by 10% in that election. and she got only one candidate who I think also went away. So we have seen a systematic decline in the vote share of the BSP. So it is my belief that the Dalit voter voted overwhelmingly for they did not choose the SP front, but they chose the BJP front. Many of the non-Jatav communities of Uttar Pradesh, they chose the BJP. The argument being that many of the people who are the voters of the SP front, they are the word in Hindi is lathayat, the landowning peasantry, which can be aggressive. And the Dalits are the labor. So the immediate persecution comes from the landowning guy, and so the people who can kick up a storm. If you go anywhere in West UP, Yadavs will talk freely to you, Jats will talk freely to you, Gujars will talk freely to you, Thakurs will talk freely to you. They're not afraid. But the people who will be hesitant to tell you their voting choices, unless you go with people who know them, or you find an entree, will always be the Dalits. Because they're socially less so, and it is also the hardest for somebody to find out what the choices are going to be. So there is utter confusion even now. But it is my belief that the data, and along with some interviews also that I conducted in the city of Meerut in this time, many of them are splitting between the BJP, and some will go to the BSP, and some this time round might go to the India Alliance, because the talk of the Constitution of India has come up, that the constitutional reservation will be taken away. So the Dalit vote is divided. And that is why I think Mayawati is going to be in free fall. So she's losing her Dalit vote. Muslims are not going to vote for her unless there's an exceptional candidate in some seats. So I suspect she might not even have one seat. In the past, in places like Muradabad and Rampur, when there was not such a threat, the Muslims were always divided. They voted because of local interests. But now I'm not sure if they are, And I don't think anybody trusts the BSP much anymore. Muslims don't. Unless there's an exceptional local candidate, because this election is also a more localized election. There was a candidate like in Jaunpur who was strong, but that has been switched because of BJP pressure. It's all very complicated. We won't get into that. So we might see an election where the BSP, the great BSP, the mighty BSP, the one that really changed the situation for Dalits in North India, in Uttar Pradesh. She did. Mayawati was a revolution in her time. She really did. But she gave them a voice, she gave them power, she did all that. But I am afraid that the cycle of history has come full circle, and she has chosen not to fight. Also, the India Alliance was desperate for her. Congress was desperate to have an arrangement with her. I have written about this in one of my columns. Obviously, there'll be some people who will be passionate, but it is less so than it was in the past, in the last election. There's no passion. There is in Uttar Pradesh also a very strong support base for Yogi, So I do feel that, yeah.
So do you have any experience, like you speak to voters?
Of course I do. I have gone out, I have traveled, but it is becoming the hardest election to spot, because you can't find any great movement this way or that way. It's going to be about which party does better seat by seat. And I think some of the BJP voters are not so enthusiastic about voting anymore. But is that enough to defeat the BJP? I'm not sure. But I think the opposition should consider it a good result in Uttar Pradesh if the BJP seats do not increase. I would be a fool to answer that. I don't know, because it shows an indifference of the voter also. But it should show, I imagine the BJP is not too happy about it. I think DMK will do very well, all accounts. They're a very organized party, and the opposition there has splintered with the Anna DMK. I think the Trinamool Congress is having a very big fight on their hands. Aam Aadmi Party has never performed well here in Delhi in the Lok Sabha. So I think they'll do better this time because of the arrest and subsequent freeing, they'll do better this time, but they'll do well in Punjab. They will be the party which will get most of the seats in Punjab. I don't think there is a conspiracy to uh, trip up Narendra Modi, because RSS and all have all gained a lot from Modi having this power. But I think what has happened is that there has been an influx of outsiders into their party. And many of the people, especially in a state like Maharashtra, are corruption accused. So imagine if you're an RSS person. Let us say, I don't may or may not like their ideology, but they believe in their ideology, right? Which doesn't mean that so one day they're running a campaign about Ajit Pawar being corrupt, or Ashok Chauhan, that because he was involved in a housing scam, being a corrupt guy because of whom people didn't get houses and all. Next day they're told to work for them. You know, that is a huge problem for an organization to accommodate all these corruption accused. And then the other thing that I think is happening within the larger parivar is this, in an invisible way, even though people don't talk about electoral bonds out there, what are the issues? But people know that the BJP has become very rich. The national leadership of the BJP has a lot of money, you know. So, whereas the cadre and the worker is still the ordinary guy, no? They might be better funded than other parties. In fact, one of the striking feature of this election is that the other parties are broke. Because the BJP's domination of political finance in the Modi era. So I think there are psychological human problems that have cropped up within the organization of the BJP. Also, Mr. Modi's style of functioning, this changing all the chief ministers at will. They got rid of Shivraj Chauhan after a mandate in Madhya Pradesh. They sidelined Vasundhara Raje. All of these are traditional state leaders. They also did the same thing to Yedurappa in Karnataka. But then, since Yedurappa is a very classic caste leader, he's a Lingayat leader. So they realized they'd made an error and they brought him back by proxy by making his son the state chief, Vijendra, because they lost the elections, you know. So they were again doing so Mr. Modi has a style of functioning which is not how the BJP used to function. It had autonomous power centers in the states. It was a reasonably democratic party the way parties go. It is in the Modi era BJP that all other centers have been extinguished. And that is acceptable as long as he is a winner. You know, but it doesn't mean that people are not upset about it. So there was an entire village area which was not voting, which was going to vote for the Congress. But that doesn't, I mean, so these are all things which we cannot make sense of till we see the result. You know, but they didn't hate Yogi. But they were angry that Jat had got the ticket. So it was all like that, you know. And there was some restlessness because of that comment, I think, of that Mr. Rupala in Gujarat. So all through, the Rajputs have been difficult. Rajasthan, I believe they have damaged the BJP also to an extent. Not, but UP little bit maybe. But again, I say, the UP is not like Gujarat though. If something flips, it can flip. So I think the Prime Minister hit back on the caste census by saying all the reservations going to go to Muslims. It was a good way for him, from his point of view, to divert the issue. Because the BJP is uncomfortable with the idea of a caste census, right? And I don't think I'm not sure yet. I have not yet made up my mind. We have to see the result, whether the caste census is the winning gambit in this election. Because he's talking about an X-ray and then giving everyone according to what they are in the population. I'm not. It's fine. It sounds very equitable, but we have to see whether that's a winning combination. And it is fascinating to me because the Congress is the one party which historically did not give representation to the backward caste in North India, which is why the Mandal upset them, which is why they did not recover in UP and Bihar. So, but still, if Rahul Gandhi is trying to change that legacy of the Congress, He's trying to change it from being, I think what we've seen in this election, from being a pro-capital party, because the Ambani growth was in the Congress era. Adani is in the BJP era. Ambani is a Congress era phenomena. Is to say that big capital, he's speaking against big capital, and he's speaking on the issue of empowering the weaker sections of society. So that's interesting. It's an interesting development. It's because Muslims alone, a candidate who's only a Muslim is not a winning candidate anymore. Let's accept it. You have to have a plus element to it. But this has not just happened now. This was always the situation. If you look at the data, representation of Muslims in Indian Parliament was always, it's no worse than it was in the past. Maybe there's a slight change or anything, it's not. It was always like this. So I will argue, in the state from where you come, you might have demographic zones where Muslims vote for Muslims, but in many parts of India, it's like Muslims are not even in a situation where just carrying the Muslim vote is not enough to win the seat. And in this election, more such people have been shifted, even by the SP, because they want other votes. All of this has happened, but this is actually, you need to study it a little carefully and to see that this is an older trend. You can't defeat the BJP with just Muslim votes. Asaduddin Owaisi often raises the correct things, but even he's not able to expand outside of Hyderabad. Na? I think the people of India are fighting this election, and I think this is a much more localized election. But yes, there is no anti-Modi wave. I don't think there is a pro-Rahul wave in North India. I don't think it's even fair to Rahul to equate him with Modi, because he is not the Prime Minister nor is he the President of his party, though he is the de facto leader of his party, in all honesty. So, but that is not the situation in the North. But in some cases, if the Congress has good candidates and good seats, they might manage. Let's see what happens in Rajasthan. Haryana, Rajasthan, let's see. Local factors will be important in the rise of the Congress. It will not just be one central leader. You're saying it is then, local factors. If the Congress revives, it will be because of local factors also. Haryana, there are local dynamics. Rajasthan, there are local dynamics. So we have to wait and see that. So finally, I'll just say that this is an election where it's the hardest election to call.